Hello, everybody. This is Max here with another edition of Animaniaugust. Today we're going to be looking at the entire week that composes all of Season 2. These were all leftover episodes that from the first season that didn't air. And as you can see, there was a lot of interstitial content that didn't make the cut, including this Dots Poetry Corner segment of I'm a Little Teapot. Take my siblings, please. This is a segment all about a troll who just, well, being a troll. And, of course, he blocks the bridge. And Wacko, and there's funny gags, like Wacko singing the song, theme to Tiny Toons, saying he's tired of it, sees the Animaniacs theme instead. And just overall, it's an interesting episode. There's definitely a lot of funny moments. Interstitial number 2! Another Dots Poetry Corner. This time, it's her interpretation of Roses Are Red. The Mindy 500. Another leftover Buns and Mindy segment. And this time she's in the Indianapolis 500. And Buns literally becomes tired. This is literally just another Buns and Mindy segment. I don't really care for those, honestly. Morning Malaise. The winners are at odds with the ecumenical talk radio host Howie Turn, a parody of Howard Stern, and his sidekick Robin, who's the literal Robin, in a parody of Robin Quivers, after Howie tells him during a call. This is one that, honestly, too reliant on pop culture references that I just don't get to even be really all that funny. The jokes just kind of fall flat. Maybe if I'm familiar with Howard Stern, I would find it funny, but I don't really find this funny. Interstitial number 3. Dots Poetry Corner returns again, as if you're not tired of already. The Dot recites the poem that I wrote, but it gets booed by the audience and even the American viewing public. This is the final Dots Poetry Corner short, and honestly, I don't really mind it being gone. The animation is lackluster due to be provided by freelance, and overall, it was always just a glorified filler. Seems they used this episode to get rid of Dots Poetry Corner. And interstitial number 4! Another wheel of morality! This time, the moral is, don't be a fool, stay at school. Interstitial 5! We get a new episode with Randy Beeman, talking about how his sister's face got stuck one time. Miami, mamma mia! This is the episode, another good fit segment. This time, going to Miami. Sister's mom is about to remarry, but pesto. On a new stepdad. It's another good video segment. And it's also one that parodies that Michael Jackson song from Free Willy. So that's interesting. This is really just the one where really that, I just really think that they're really running out of source material for the good fitters. There's just not a whole lot of mafia. By this point, they stopped really, making the good fitters a mafia parody. And now we get to mime time. Riding an imaginary subway. It encounters a stranger who proceeds to strip all his clothes off. And then he steps on something sharp and hops around the pig. Next up is Pigeon on the Roof. This is just another Good Fitters episode. And another one primarily starring Pesto. Yeah. And this is a parody of everybody's favorite mafia movie, Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah, they're already running out of ideas. And I've never seen the original play. And yeah, I don't really get really a whole lot of jokes. Coup. Pesto did not like this last cartoon. So Bobby sings him a song to parody school from West Side Story. Was a deleted scene from West Side Pigeons repurposed. And also, the only time that John Morano sings for Bobby on Animaniacs, rather than Jeff Benet covering over for him, which is interesting. And now we cut back to Colin, the Randy Beeman kid, in a towel. He talks about the one time his own uncle, blew Randy Beeman's nose. Okay, bye. And now we have a bunch of good ideas, bad ideas. Good idea, giving a kid a balloon. Bad idea, giving a kid a bunch of balloons. Good idea, taking up a new hobby like bird calling. Bad idea, taking up a new hobby like buffalo calling. Good idea, having a chili dog to go. Bad idea, having a chili dog that makes you go. Good idea, visiting picturesque McLean, Virginia. Bad idea, visiting picturesque McLean, Stevenson. We end this with another Wheel of Morality. In this time's moral is people who live in glass houses should get dressed with the lights out. Once again, it's mime time. The mime imagines swimming in the imaginary ocean and gets drowsed in water. We're no pigeons. The good veterans trick a hungry owl named Pipsqueak into believing they're not pigeons. They can try to convince him that they're macaroni birds, set him off to find pigeons. They find Pepe Le Pew, an alligator, and an elephant. This is the only time in the original show that Pepe Le Pew actually appeared. He'll later appear in an episode of the reboot, Yakko a Mako. Which featured him shortly after a controversy from New York Times columnist Charles Blow. He made a cameo in the Animaniacs reboot, which was coincidentally produced before, but according to producers, they found the whole controversy funny and just found it made the segment funnier, so they convinced Warner Bros. To keep it in. That's nice. Anyway, back to the segment itself. This is the final one to use the theme song of the Good Vetters, which is rather short, that made this song rather short-lived. Anyway, they're still running out of ideas. And once again, it's mime time. This one, the mime walks an imaginary dog, and the mime gets attacked by other dogs, who are actually real. Whistle Stop Mindy. Another Bud to Mindy outing. This time's in 1942. Honestly, this is, they try to make it different by making it 1942 with the Steve Drain and all that stuff. I still don't care for Buns and Mindy. Ladies and gents, another mime time. This time, the mime imagines driving an imaginary car and he gets run over by a bus. Katie Kaboom, the broken date. Katie Kaboom's date does not arrive on time and she explodes where she got stood up. Well, another cartoon where Katie Kaboom tries to get a date and all that stuff. Well, it's mime time once again, and this time the mime throws pitches an imaginary baseball, and of course, he gets beamed by it. Now it's time for a Wheel of Morality. And this time, Wacko's confused and wants to learn the moral of the story because it's literally don't spit in public. Because, yeah, Wacko, he likes to spit in public. The germs, man. Episode 69 starts with Randy Beeman. Golan, who is dressed as Batman, talks about the time Randy Beeman told a creepy guy to get lost. While talking, his cape falls off and he trips on it. Of course, we get to the segment, I'm Mad. A segment all about Dr. Scratch's stiff making the words for a long car ride to the circus. This is a really interesting one. This was one that was premiered in cinemas before Fumbleina, which was, of course, released on March 30th, 1994. But, funnily enough, on the same day, it was released with the film Major League 2, about a sequel about to a film about the Cleveland Indians. I mean, the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, whatever. I can understand Fumbleina, but Major League 2, the audience for baseball and Animaniacs doesn't overlap that much. Yakko and Doc constantly bicker, and then Wacko complains all the time. This is one of the few times where we actually see the Warners act like kids. And one of two times the Warners appeared on theatrical screens, the other being a brief cameo in Space Jam 2. The chase for the ending dialogue also went longer, with rumors that that Rob Paulson and Tress MacNeille got so into their roles that they started cussing as Yakko and Dot. And, well, this is why it was in widescreen, because, well, it was originally intended for cinema, so of course it made sense for the short to be widescreen. And what's not in the is version of the short is in the theatrical version there's originally some title cards starring the Warners, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, and their pal Dr. Scratch and Sniff in I'm Mad. Just for the people viewing this who have no familiarity with the characters. Oh, just all short. And honestly, one of the few times where the characters actually act like kids. It's also one of the very few shorts that is readily available in high definition resolution due to the fact that it was released in cinemas, which is interesting. Next up is another Mime Time, and this is the last Mime Time cartoon. And the final cartoon by Tokyo Movie Shunsho for now.
the mime finds an imaginary coin and gets arrested. And so this is the final time, final mime time. We can assume that the mime is canonically in prison for the rest of the show. Bad move, Bobby. As upon waking up on the wrong side of the bed, Bobby wakes up on the wrong side of the nest. So Pesto's going to do everything they can to cheer him up from a bad mood. This would be the last cartoon to actually be set in New York City. Oh, the Good Feathers. The last cartoons from them would be set in Burbank. Why? Because I would assume it's because, well, everybody else is in Burbank. Why not them? And this is also one of the only Good Feathers cartoons that doesn't open with the Ray Liotta Henry Hilbert thing as far back as I can remember. That's interesting. But then we get to another Randy Beeman. Colin attempts to hit a baseball while talking about Randy Beeman taking baths with his brother. And Colin, well, he's, of course it's not shown on screen that Colin's of course not the one taking baths with his brother. It's not shown on screen. I mean, that would just be weird. He's talking about it while he attempts to throw a baseball, and of course he fails. Well, bye. Kitty Kabloom, the blemish. Kitty Kabloom overreacts to her blemish on her forehead because her friend Jared is coming to take her to study group. This would be the final cartoon to be animated by Freelance. Good riddance, Freelance. Your cartoons never looked correct. And now we get a marathon of good idea, bad ideas segments. The longest marathon of good idea, bad ideas on the show. Good idea, tossing a penny into the fountain to make a wish. Bad idea, tossing your cousin penny into the fountain to make a wish. Good idea, giving your dog a bath. Bad idea, having your dog dry cleaned. Good idea, playing horsey with your little sister. Bad idea, playing horsey with your Aunt Bertha. Good idea, throwing a surprise party for your dad. Bad idea, throwing a surprise party for your granddad. Good idea, playing cops and robbers in the park. Bad idea, playing cops and robbers in the bank. Good idea, playing catch with your grandfather. Bad idea, playing catch with your grandfather. Good idea, playing the scales on the piano. Bad idea, playing scales on the fish. Randy Beeman. Colin comes out with a toy plane, puts a finger in his ear and tells the weather disgusting and interesting tale about how Randy Beeman eats cornflakes. Fake. A fairly short cartoon. Doctor scratches his dick in the warrant debate whether pro wrestling is stage or not. This is basically one of the shortest of the Yakko Wackle and Dog cartoons. That's not a musical. And, well, and this is also the final Animaniacs cartoon of season 2. The final Animaniacs episode to appear on Fox Kids. The final one to give Catherine Page a wacky credit. With the next episode, the credits would include gag credits in the style of Tiny Toon Adventures, and the final one to end with the 1992 Warner Bros. Television distribution logo and name. When they moved to Kids WB, it will begin using the Warner Bros. Television animation name and logo at the end of the episode. Well, that's a wrap. Animaniacs' run on Fox Kids. 2 seasons, 69 episodes. The show was already a smash success. And well, where could the Animaniacs, Yakko Wacko not go from there? Well, we're gonna tell you about this tomorrow. But for now, let's give a retrospective. Episode 1 was the very beginning of the show, featuring uh, featuring the first appearances of all the characters and just starting up the show. Episode 2's big draw, besides Yakko's World, was that introduced Pinky and the Brain. Episode 3 gave us the introduction of Slappy. Episode 4 gives the introduction of Goodfeathers. Episode 5 gave us our full half hour of the Warners. Episode 6 gave us the first Buns and Mindy. Episode 7 gave us the first Rita and Runt. Episode 8 gave us the first Randy Beeman. Episode 9 gave us the first alias of Brain. Episode 10 will give us Anvilania. Episode 11 would give us Picasso having pee-pee on his schlock. Episode 12 would give us Yakko buying a garage. Episode 13 would give us the Hip Hippos. Oh boy. Episode 14 would give us Warner Bros. In court. Episode 15 would send the Warners to space. Episode 16 would introduce the teacher, Miss Flammel. Episode 17, Beethoven's a pianist. Episode 18, the Warners is into Russia. Episode 19, the Warner Bros. Meet Death. Episode 20, the Goodfeathers appear in the film The Birds. Episode 21, the Warners sing about American history. Episode 22, the Warners torture a person on a plane. Episode 23, one of the Goodfeathers gets their heads stuck in soda cans. Episode 24, Making the Brain rob Fort Knox. Episode 25, the Warners do a midnight summer dream. Episode 26, Wacko has a potty emergency. Episode 27, Making the Brain gamble on the Kentucky Derby. Episode 28, Minnie goes to prehistory. Episode 29, Animaniacs meet Dracula. Episode 30, the Warners go to Hades and Minerva Meat gets introduced. Episode 31, music. Episode 32, boring guy talks. Episode 33, there's cartoons in Wacko's head. Episode 34, Wacko's scared of clowns. Episode 35, the cartoons are all mixed up. Episode 36, Slappy terrorizes Siskel and Ebert. Episode 37, the Warners get sent to boot camp. Episode 38, Pinky and the Brain have their first half hour before eventually spreading out to their own show. Episode 39, Wacko's gloves play the piano. Episode 40, Blanca opening, and Pinky and the Brain play with puppets. Episode 41. The Animaniacs torture a Phil Hartman newscaster. Episode 42. Hollywood Chuck. Character we've not seen before, and we really haven't seen since, besides a few cameos. Episode 43. Warner's get annoyed by survey ladies. Episode 44. Useless facts. Episode 45. Slappy appears in court. Episode 46. Miles Standish went to bed with a hamster, and the Warners give Miles Standish the bird. Episode 47. The Last Boy Scout awakening Dream Man and the baby to hand the rock to cradle. Silence of the Lambs Bugsy with Bugs Bunny instead of a lady on the cover. Beethoven the Player, The Abyss, Paper House, Rambo 3, Rocky 4, 5, Star Trek 6, Sister Act, Phantom of the Opera, The Naked Gun, Twins, Atari, Unforgiven, Hook, The Addams Family, Amadeus, The Muppet Family Christmas, Citizen Kane, Singing in the Rain, The Princess Bride, The Princess Tides, The Fisher King, Father of the Bride, Jaws, Psycho, E.T., JFK, Used People, Cobra, Pat and Mike, Apocalypse Now, Hoover, Murder, Robert, Raging Bull, Godfather 3, Fried Greek Tomatoes, The Babe, featuring Helen Nurse instead of Babe Ruth, Lethal Weapon 2, Mystic Pizza, Edward Scissorhand, Top Gun, Wayne's World, Malcolm X, The Mighty Ducks, Duck Soup, etc., etc. Episode 48. Lake Titicaca, relaxing its name. Episode 49. Religion. Episode 50. Ralph the Guarded Santa. Episode 51. Slappy Squirrel shills out cereal. Episode 52. Wacko and Scratcher Stiff get trapped in an elevator. Episode 53. Girl letters, the sign that says Niagara Falls was misspelled. Episode 54. Minerva appears for the last time. Kind of. Episode 55. More gold. Episode 56. French intro. Episode 57. Warner's in World War II. Episode 58. Hey, you're the one showing me all the sexy pictures. Episode 59. Woodstock, Slappy. Slappy goes to Woodstock. Episode 60. Willie Slackmer. Episode 61. Barney the Dinosaur. Episode 62. More Slappy goodness. Episode 63. Now, with Katie Kaboom's dad. Episode 64. Myra Duff appears. Episode 65. Buddy Still Sucks. Episode 66. 1 bumper. 2 bumpers. I lost count already of how many bumpers we've done. I don't even know. Episode 67. Bunch of mime time. Episode 68. Bunch of good idea, bad idea. And episode 69. A theatrical short recycled. So that's really a recap of all of anime so far. And believe it or not, well, we're actually reaching the end. Despite only being slightly around 2 seasons in. Because, well, right still success, Kids WB will be the start of the fall of grace. But we'll start talking about Kids WB tomorrow. For now, let's just say Animaniacs has already proven itself to be a very popular show among kids and kids at heart. And Kids WB, through around 30 more episodes, would really be contentious among fans. Well, goodbye, Nurse.